Pfalz, the southern Rhineland Palatinate, lies on the very southeastern tip of the Rhineland Palatinate. The plentiful sunshine and mild climate allows the region's vineyards and orchards to thrive. The fertile soil is perfect for farming vegetables and the potato, known locally as the Grumbeer. Potato makes up the heart of Pfalz cuisine. Grumbeersupp, potato soup, is served with plum cake, Quetschekuche. The Tartflambe from neighbouring France is almost considered as being local. Lisa Gross likes to experiment with what she can find in nature.
The topic, vegan, vegetarian, you need to stay up to date.
Her father Michael is an organic farmer and his newest crop is lupin. Processing it is quite a challenge. We tinker, we experiment. The Schossberg family farm lies outside of the town of Minfeld. 3 generations are busy growing and caring for the vegetables on the large estate. The family started farming with maize and sugar beets. Now, Michael Gross has converted to organic farming, so weeding has become a large part of the job. Tim and his grandmother Thea are on weeding duty.
You've learnt something from me, you have. You need to think of it as a game, this work.
It can be therapeutic.
That's true.
When Michael Gross took over the farm a few years ago, he started afresh. Diversity and not monoculture is his motto. The change in farming tactic brought with it the weeds. The wild farming is something that family and neighbours are still getting used to. Michael loves to nurture the natural and the primordial. Nature, vegetables, they're diverse in shape and colour, just as our Creator intended. There are a few types that are not quite as they were in the beginning, but at the beginning there was ecology. Michael is always trying something new, and no 2 days are the same on his farm. This year, he's planting 40 different varieties of vegetable, and 4 of those are tomatoes. Someone once said, I get bored if I go around in a circle. I don't want to do that. Lisa Gross harvests and works with what grows on her parents' fields. Not just fruit and vegetables, but recently also roses. Her inspiration comes from her travels around Asia. Lisa is making syrups, chutneys, marmalades, and even soy tofu in often unusual combinations.
Our motivation is that we like to experiment with all of it, with whatever we have, so we thought we'd plant 80 rose bushes. You can make something from that.
For example, a sweet rose butter. For that, Lisa needs a lot of powder sugar. The rose petals are pureed and mixed in. Lisa also sells her creations, but the family usually gets to try the experiments first.
They come back and say, wow, rose butter with salmon is delicious, we grilled. And that's a success that spurs you on.
Michael's newest project is called Salami and stands for Solidarity Farming. 40 families pick up fresh vegetables every week for a monthly fee. The aim is to make the farm independent from being a supermarket supplier in the long term. When we've harvested everything, we can have lunch. Have lots of fun, and let's get started. Today, Michael has invited his clients to harvest their own weekly vegetable box. A lot of the families live in the city, and this way, the children can learn where the food comes from and how it all grows.
Everyone has their farm. It's great.
Mama, guck mal, ich habe
Look, that one has yellow around it.
It's always better to just remove the leaves from the bottom, and then the heart keeps growing. It comes up again. If you take the whole plant, there's nothing left to grow back. Michael's projects are always a surprise for the family. It's always like this with my father. When he has an idea, he just does it and says, "Are you in or not?" Suddenly it's like, we're doing Salami, without saying anything beforehand, and then we get to it and do it. Off we go. Tim Gross is making the most of the Mediterranean climate in the Südpfalz. This year, he planted watermelons. Let's see if it's ripe. Oh, it's very good. Let's open it up. There are more delicacies to be discovered in the orchard, like green gage, the finer cousin of the plum, as well as raspberries, blackberries, and yellow plums.
Come. That's rose butter with freshly baked bread and homemade tomato marmalade with fresh vegetables.
Schmeckt ganz süß, wie Marmelade.
Tastes sweet, like marmalade. Oh, it looks great.
Wie lange hält
How long does it keep?
wenn das dann frisch macht?
If you make it fresh. 3 to 4 weeks, but it shouldn't stay around that long. No, I don't think it would. Did you like the leaf?
In August, the last of the new potatoes are harvested. Father and son prefer to do this without the help of the city harvesters. People in the Pfalz take their potatoes very seriously and even have their own nickname for them, the Grumbeer. When it comes to the harvester, Tim is in charge. With the button, I tell him whether he should stop or carry on. When I press the button, he stops. Carry on. We have a few wild pumpkins blooming. We planted Hokkaido pumpkins last year, and there's still some going. So there's a few small Hokkaido pumpkins amongst the harvest. Cooking is a big part of life on the Schlossberg farm. But Thea, unlike her son, is not as adventurous and serves up traditional Pfalz cuisine. Potatoes and vegetables are top of the list. Her husband Carl keeps her company. What are we having today?
I'll try and put something proper on the table. So far, no one has ever left and said they don't like it.
Grumbeersupp is on the menu today, and plenty of vegetables are added for Thea's interpretation of the potato soup, for more vitamins and a fuller taste.
Just Grumber alone is too bland. You need some celery, the parsley and carrot. That will give that soup that extra flavour.
And don't forget the garlic.
Aren't you the expert? And the herbs for seasoning.
First, onions are simmered in plenty of butter.
It'll be the soup of the century, this.
The vegetables are then added to make the colourful soup.
And the herbs give food its flavour. Thyme is one of my favourite. The liquid needs to go on now.
Finally, water is poured on top. This year is the family's first lupin harvest. It's the first time they're growing the bean. It's also new territory for the thresher operator, Christian Scheid. Does the thresher have the right setting for it?
Ja, klar.
Sure, we'll have to try it.
Hallo.
Hallo.
Ausprobieren.
You can compare this to the pea. I mean, when they're dry, they could crack. That means the threshing drum can't be on too high a setting. Interesting, I've never seen it in this form before. The lupin is becoming popular. So you grind this? And you'll try and make dishes out of the flour? You soak it, puree or grind it.
Crush it, cook it. But I think you can do it raw. So from the raw bean.
Really? Even when they're so hard?
It's all an experiment for you too.
For all of us. Will you take those things out of the thresher? Yes, yes, we'll manage that. Michael has to test the beans' water content to see if they're ready for threshing. The small machine measures the lupin's moisture levels. The lupin is usually only planted as a fertilizing agent. It enriches the soil with nitrogen for the next harvest. Nowadays, the protein-rich pulses are seen as a viable alternative to soy. Yes, they're hard, they're dry. Lisa, what do you think?
12.5?
12,5. Okay. Nicht schlecht.
Not bad. 12.9. 12.9.
Okay.
Looks good. You can go and get the thresher.
How shall I cut them? Cut them this way. Just cut them open and take out the stone. Stone out and cut over the top.
In Pfalz, plum cake, Quetschekuche, is served with the Grumbeersupp. Thea has prepared a yeast dough. Traditional Pfalz cuisine and the younger generation's vegetarian variations take turns in this kitchen.
When grandmother is weaning and doesn't have time to cook, she eats with us. Then I say, listen, we're eating with you today. Be prepared. Yes, but they're not picky. They're open for anything, whether it's tofu or... We didn't even know tofu, but we've gotten used to it. I like it. I tried to cook it, but I don't know what herbs you use. I should get some advice about the herbs I need to buy. It's important that the base isn't too thick and there's plenty of topping. I'll always do it like this, and another one goes in between. She usually doesn't know the recipe. She does a little bit here, a little there. She can't tell you a recipe. I'm assuming that one day she'll show me everything. Grumbeer and cheese, that's not so bad. I think I can manage to make the grumbeer with marjoram. And the vegetable soup? One says that grandparents cook with a lot more love, and that's the extra seasoning.
The vegetables harvested by the helpers are shared amongst the boxes. Marion Gross is coordinating the distribution.
We put everything on the tables and weigh it. That way we can share it quickly.
At least 10 different sorts of vegetables fill the 40 boxes.
Tim, salads, 2 each?
Maybe we should recount. First organic, now Salami. Karl Gross is game for anything. I go along with anything. I don't say anything anymore. I had my time, now the youth have theirs.
Cabbage, 5 pieces, and kale a little less, maybe 3. Well, at the beginning you think it's very chaotic, but then everybody knows where they're supposed to be and sort of organise themselves.
Just like in the good old days, the Grumbeersupp is served up after the harvest.
Another ladle?
Thea has pureed the vegetables and poured in the stock. For the family, Salami is a great opportunity. They know that everything they plant will be taken.
When everything is done, that's when I eat.
Quetschekuche and Grumbeersupp are traditionally served together. In Pfalz, it's normal to have a piece of cake and a ladle of soup. But most people who aren't from here don't like it so much. The new project is in its test phase and is still a topic of debate around the table. If we want something else, it can develop in a different direction. But it's definitely an opportunity to continue. I'm flexible.
So are we.
I think I'll definitely take some time out so they can do it by themselves. We'll travel around the world for a couple of years.
We don't even get away for a week. And now you want to travel around the world. But of course I'm in. I'm always in.
We'll go the way of St. James. For Michael, there's barely any difference between being a farmer and an artist. It's like farming. You have to juggle and balance.
Why?
That's the way it is. The next morning, Christian harvests the lupins for the first time. But can the huge thresher separate the small seeds from the plants? Lisa took a little bowl full of lupins yesterday and soaked them overnight.
I'm really interested to see what you'll do with it. Before they were a little bit bitter. If you add more water, they'll be easier to puree.
The problem is the hard ones. This bowl of lupins will be made into a vegetarian variation of the famous Pfalzer Pate.
There's not much of shell, although it's a pulse vegetable.
After pureeing, the mashed beans are cooked and drained.
Well, it doesn't look like tofu. The liquid is separating from the pureed mass. It's said to be a real rich source of protein. Very important for the body. Now, for the herbs and spices. Onions, stock, and definitely marjoram. Marjoram is the main herb for pate. You didn't need stock for the meat pate. Salt, onions, and I think a shot of oil. Should we see if it tastes like Pfalzer pate? Not quite. It's a different consistency. But I think with the onions and that marjoram, it's putting it in the right direction. Of course you can't compare it to the meaty. No, you can't compare it. But this was the experiment, the first try, and you can develop it. You need to get used to it. You need it to give it to your clients as a taster.
Michael has invited the Salami group for a wagon tour. Out of the town and into the fields. First stop, the pumpkin fields.
So. Achtung, langsam, Kinder, langsam.
It's always exciting. Some are a little scared to go in. The pumpkins can be a bit prickly for those who are wearing shorts. But they're being brave. They're coming. People, get in touch with the pumpkins. Should we juggle with them? Hokkaido need to be nice and orange, not yellow, then they're ripe. It's normal for them to be dirty.
Yeah, and you can wash it off. I think I might keep it for Halloween.
It's a little small for Halloween, but that doesn't matter. It's good. You can put a face on it. Marion and Tim are trying out a new recipe for the Tartflambe.
You can always have Tartflambe. Even when you're full, there's always room for some.
The French Tartflambe is also popular in the neighbouring Pfalz. Tim and Marion are making a yeast dough, not common for the pizza-like dish.
It's so soft it will tear easily and can be made into any shape.
The dough is rolled out as thinly as possible and covered in sour cream and any topping.
We have lots, along the edge, so it has more flavour.
I always watched my mum. She was always a good cook and I was always interested. I joined in.
Yeah, with Tim, I could look at cookbooks instead of picture books. When he was small. It's true.
Tim tops his Tartflambe with blood sausage and pears instead of ham and onion.
Oh, that looks good.
The farming collective members are coming by in the afternoon to pick up their boxes. Do you know the types?
Yeah.
Cabbage, kale, and chard.
Here. Now it's Pfalz Tartflambe with blood sausage.
There's always room for Tartflambe.
This isn't a typical Tartflambe, but a Pfalz one with blood sausage.
By evening, calm has returned to the family farm. Time for the first attempt at a vegetarian pate to be tried by the whole family. Can it compete with a meaty original? That with the lupins worked well. Yes, it's very good.
Ja.
Give me some, I want to try the new creation.
Schmeckt echt gut.
Und was sagst du denn?
And what do you think, Grandad?
I'll eat anything. I don't want to say it's bad. But this pate is also vegetarian, isn't it?
Nah, the pate. No, no, no. That's totally non-vegetarian.
We used to put pate on our grumbeers and cheese.
Das kannst du mit dem
You can do that with this too.
Willst du von
Do you want some more of the vegetarian pate?
It's a little too rough for me.
Muss eine feine Lupine Wurst machen.
Feiner.
So prima geschmeckt.